Good. Now we are recording. We're learning. Now we are learning the continuation of what we began this week, and we're talking about the Jewish people going over the sea. And we asked the question: why is it that God split the sea to take the Jewish people over? Really, the Jewish people didn't have to even come near the sea at all. It was not necessary to go from Egypt to Israel. It was not necessary. The boundaries are pretty much the same, even though the people in Egypt are different, but the boundaries are the same. And it was totally unnecessary to go to the sea. Not only that, the Jewish people didn't, in fact, cross the sea. They went down the sea and came out on the same side that they went in on. So why did God have to do this? And not only that, it says the Torah clearly why, so that the Egyptians would know that God is God. But all the Egyptians that saw and that experienced the splitting of the sea, they all died. They all drowned. They all drowned. The fact is, there's a midrash that says that the Paro, he escaped and he became something, the king of Nineveh or something like that. Whatever it was, the people that were there all they did not how do you say, spread the experience. It was written in the Torah. The Torah says that there was splitting of the sea, but the people, the Egyptians that were there, did not experience it. And the Torah says that the reason that God split the sea so that the Egyptians should know. So what exactly does it mean that they should know? So the Rebbe explained that the splitting of the sea is the idea of splitting reality. And to see that what we think is reality is really covering up something that's much deeper, much more real. And that was what was split. And that's what happened when God, that's the idea of blessings, that God sends down blessings from what's called the upper reality to this reality. And our reality that we're in is a created reality. And God's reality is the Creator's reality, which we have no idea what that is. If it wasn't for the Torah, we'd have no even inkling that there is such a thing. We think that God is just a spiritual force that he, whatever he does. But the fact of the matter is that God creates the world, and he creates the world for a purpose. And that aspect of God that creates the world and that was there before the world was there, that is still there. And in fact, the world is still nothing. It's made from nothing. The world is made from nothing. So that aspect of God, that's the reason, not just the creation of the world, the reason why God is creating the world, that was completely hidden. And when God split the sea, he revealed it. Now you have to remember that the Torah was given to the Jews. It was given for the whole world to the Jews, but it talked about God's special treatment of the Jews. And God put the Jews into Egypt. They suffered there. Then God took the Jews out of Egypt and he gave the Jews food from heaven and water from a rock. And then he split the water for the Jews, and the enemies of the Jews he drowned. And then he gave to the Jews the Torah. All these things, the Jews. That's what it means. God is God's chosen people. So God did not, contrary to a lot of opinion, God did not leave the Jews. And this is not just a story that it never happened at all, and God never was with the Jews. In the first place, God was with the Jews, and he is with the Jews, and he always will be with the Jews. But the point of the matter is that Jews are supposed to tell everyone that God is with everybody. And that's this hidden aspect of God. So that was what was revealed at Mount Sinai. That's called blessing. God brought blessing into the world, and he revealed his essence in the world. Says, but all of these levels of blessings, Vamshachan, drawing down God, revealing God in the world. Let me make this bigger here. One second. There we go. All these levels of blessings and drawing God, revealing God into the world. This is the level of the Kohanim, of the priests, like Aaron. In this case, also Moses, even though Moses technically was not a priest, but he came from the priest. The Kohanim came from Levi. That was where Moses came from. That was bringing God down. That's what God did. God split the sea. God revealed himself. But then there's another type of a service that's blessing God from above to below. But then there's another service in the Holy Temple, and each Jew is a holy temple, and that is the Levites. And the Levites, their main thing was singing. That was from below to above. And if you remember, that's what we're talking about. We shouldn't forget that we're talking about the song that the Jewish people sang after they went across the sea, right? They went across, so they sang the song. Like it says, the Eved Levi Hu, the service of the Levi is what's called Hu. Hu is like far away. The sentence, the simple meaning is the service of the Levites is that they're supposed to sing and they're supposed to carry the in the temple. In the temple, they carried the tabernacle. They carried the boards and etc. Okay, but the service of the Levites is what Hu. Now, Hu was with third person. Hu means it. There's Ata, which is second person, and I, right? Ani, which is first person. And the service of the Levites, this is the aspect of third person, which means concealed. Concealed. Shabo, the Bechinas Avoda, that his service is the Bechinas Alma Diskasia. That the whole service of the Levites was in this hidden world. In the hidden world. What does it mean, the hidden world? Shalo yeh Bechinas Umadregas Alma Diskalian, nearing the Bechinas Umadregas Kalal. That the revealed world shouldn't be a revealed world at all. Shouldn't be revealed. What does it mean? Because now we think that the revealed world, namely this physical world or the spiritual worlds, that's what there is. And that covers over God and all of this, I say that the mind of God before the world was created. That's real reality. That's what we started the class with. The physical world that covers over the real reality of God. So that there shouldn't be, this world should not cover God at all. Simple language, this world should be totally transparent. This world of the angels should be totally transparent. Like it says, Atahu Hashem, you are God alone. It is not considered to be a world at all. The word for world means concealment. Well, let's make this bigger. I'm squinting. What's this? No more squinting. Here we go. Here. The world should not be, not on the level of how God surrounds the worlds, how God is inside the world. You should just be the revelation of Hashem. This was the service, the Shira, the Zimra, the Nigun. That was the thing of the Levites. The Levites was, so to speak, to ignore the world and to only concentrate on God. The thing of the Kohanim, the Kohanim, the priests, was to reveal God in this world, to make blessing in this world. And the thing of the Levites was like fire, was to say, all there is God. That's all there is, just God. Inyan and Nigun, the whole thing of song, and that's singing. That's what the Levites did. They sang. Singing means going out. They went out of themselves. When the Jews went across the sea and they saw these blessings and everything like that, so ideally what it was supposed to be was that they realized that the whole world is a big bluff. The whole world is a big bluff, and it's concealing the truth. The world is concealing the truth. Not that the world is bad. The world is good. God wants it to be here. Something like glasses. A person that's hard, it's difficult, so he puts on glasses, and then he sees the world. But if the glasses are all foggy, or let's say like a person, he has what's called a cataract, something like that, in your eye, so all you see is your eye. You see your eye. You know, the glasses are foggy. All you see is the glasses. And it's the same thing as the world. The world is all foggy. It's like this, how do you say, big cataract, and it just makes everything all fuzzy. But the fact is, the world should be like a lens that through it you can see the oneness of God. And that's the idea of the Levites. The Levites saw everything in the world, all they saw was godliness. And that's the idea of a song. Inyan and Nigun, the whole idea of a song is she'en bo rakis palos nefesh. The soul, the song is ideally just the arousal of the soul. Mipnei gilia tenua, because of the revelation of the melody that's in it. Not that the melody itself has some sort of intellect to it and wonder, but because the revelation of the music, it reveals the heart. What's going on over here? Listen, this is a very surprising thing. In America, I think maybe now in the whole world, they have these programs with, like, what is it called? A Star is Born or something like that. What is it? America has talent. England has talent. What do they have on there? Once in a while, it gets up there a guy who's a juggler or something like that. But the main thing is singing. People go and they sing. Sing. Now, what type of preparation do you have for singing? Maybe operatic singing you have to have preparation for. But usually the people over there that come and they sing, right? The popular singers and they win the contest. These are guys just off the street. They just have a natural voice. But when they sing a song, somehow or other, the emotions that are in the song, the emotions which are in the song, they come out and they make the crowd happy or sad or amazed. You have patriotic songs, and you have love songs, and you have songs of they say mourning songs, how he misses Danny boy or something like that. Songs, right? What's the thing that arouses from the song is not so much the melody; it's the movement of the music, the movement of the notes. And therefore, even within his old song, there can be an arousal because of the movement, the movement of the music which is in it. And so, let's say you read a book, you read it once, you read it twice, that's all. You go see a movie. People who saw movies 5 times, 10 times. That's it. You can't see more than that, right? Unless it's unless something's wrong with you, right? You see a movie. How many times can you repeat something over and over? But a song, it could be that every time you hear the song, right, it's exciting again. You hear it another time, another day, right? Another time. You see that, that song, I love that song. That's the song we heard when we got married. This is the song my mother used to sing that song. Oh yeah, I remember that song. But the song itself, so music does something special. Why? Singing especially. And the other instruments, they try to simulate the voice. Once in a while you have an orchestra, you have piano and things like that, but the general thing of a beautiful melody, but the main thing is singing. Singing is something special. And like I say, you don't have to have any particular skill. It's just a natural talent that the person has. It's not that you have to practice. Right? These people that were the popular singers, right? Oh, that's this guy singing. Oh, I recognize his voice. But I could listen to that all day. Because the movement which is in the song itself, Kenu Inyan Avodat Levi, that's the Levites. The Levites, the main thing was the expression of the heart and the arousal of the heart. In songing, Liot Bechinat Hitpalut Nefesh, the soul becomes excited on its own. It's not because that you hear the song, all of a sudden it makes you cry. The song makes you cry. What makes you cry? Is the music is so beautiful? No, it awakens something in your soul. And not because you understand what's going on. Since that the service is the Levites is that they sing, they realize that all there is God. The late machshava tafisa, and there's no way you could possibly grasp. Your thought cannot grasp what God is. But just the arousal of the heart. And that's what happened when the Jews went across the sea, because they saw this amazing revelation of God, and they saw that God has a special care for the Jewish people, and they saw that God has the ability to care. God is not just the creator of the world, that he creates everything in the world, but God cares about one nation. And he gave the Torah to this one nation, that this one nation, the Jews, should benefit all mankind. How? By what? By removing everyone's attention from the world and putting it more on the reason why the world is here, the creator of the world. And that's the idea of a song. The song meant that their souls were aroused. That they song, the heart was aroused, so it touched the inner point of the heart. The low lios makif, and just not a surrounding level alone, right? You oh, how beautiful that was, and you leave it. Like there's a story about several stories about stingy people, and rich people, the poor people would come to them and they'd say, please, my wife is sick, my children, we've got orphans with them. And the rich person would cry. He would cry, oh, it's so terrible for Jewish people to suffer so much, so awful. And then he would give them 25 cents. And so in other words, what does it mean? He felt that this person is suffering and he felt the suffering and his heart was, and he was crying, but it didn't really touch him. It didn't touch that person at all. The example is always brought in Chassidut that a thief, maybe a Jewish thief, before he goes to steal, he prays to God. So he believes in God. So why is he stealing? Because he believes in God, but he needs the money also. He needs the money also. Why should God do all the work? Instead of opening up a business and waiting for customers and praying for God for them to come, I just break into this guy's house and I steal his money. What's the problem? Right? The problem. It's against the Torah. If you really believed in God, you would believe that God gave it. Well, it doesn't go into the person's inside. It's an idea. It's a wonderful idea. I know I shouldn't steal and I know God exists, but what can I do? I need the money. And the same thing as the person is poor. I know he's here. The same thing is I know God exists. I know God is everything, but I have my life to live. That's what it means. It's a surrounding level. There's these lecturers, especially in Chabad, you get lectures like this, and they say that Judaism is not a religion. What they mean to say is it's not only a religion. Religion means it's part of your life. Your main thing is your life. And religion is part of your life. That's what religion is. Judaism certainly is a religion, but it's called Dat Emet. It's called the true religion. What does it mean? That really it stems from the feeling that my life is part of my religion. That God is reality. And I am a creation, and I act accordingly. So my actions could be interpreted as being religion. In other words, just part of me, or it could be interpreted as part that I am a part of, so to speak, of the Creator. So if I feel that there's me and God is is outside of me, right? Part of me, then that's religion. The main thing is me, and I have a keep on my head or whatever. But the idea that the Rebbe is trying to get across is that the Jewish people went out of Egypt means that they went out of the false the ideas that this world is the only reality or it's the main reality. And that God is something, also is something. Right? He's one of the Greek gods. So that's the idea of the Levites. The Levites are making this world, so to speak, just a transparent, so we can see God. Alter says similarly, the Taken Pesuki Dezimra. That's why we have the songs of King David before Kriya Shema, before we say Shema in our prayers. Look, and therefore we say it's called Pesuki Dezimra. The psalms that we say in the prayer, you got to get a Jewish prayer book to know what this means. The main part of the Jewish prayer book, like the high point of it, is Shema Yisrael, and afterwards is what's called the standing prayer. But before Shema Yisrael, there's a bunch of preparatory prayers. First of all, there's Psalms of King David, and then there's prayers which were made by the men of the Great Assembly. The prayers of King David, that's called Psuki de Zimra. They're called sentences of a song. She'em, that they are ka'ain bechinas nigun. They're sort of like a song. Shehu rak harachavat adibur. That song is just like a higher level of speech. Speech, you're expressing ideas. Song is supposed to be that you're expressing feelings that can't be expressed in ideas. That can't be expressed in words. That singing is like, this is bior ha'inyan betosfos bior. This is explaining the greatness of God. And in addition, the song says something that words can't see. The Persian davar eitev, to make it explain it well. Ulalhiv libo, and to arouse the heart, the nafsho in your soul, she'it pa'alu, that you should be excited from this. Which is not the case when you say these sentences, you just say them. The eino nogea lekudas libov, and it's not relevant to the essence of your heart. Then it's not zimra. It's not really called a song. This is not really complete service. Maybe we can give you another example. there's a song now. It's being sung a lot by in the army. The soldiers, the soldiers in the army are becoming. Thank God, they're more and more Jewish. It's more and more Jewish. They're doing so. It's like sometimes when there's, how do you say, tense or important moments, they found this. I'm not really so up to date on this thing, but they found the body of one soldier that had been buried. Anyway, they found his body, and they all brought his body, and they all sang the song, which is "I believe in the coming of the Mashiach every day." Right? Ani mamin be'emunah shlema b'bias Mashiach. So you can say it. Ani mamin be'emunah shlema b'bias Mashiach. I believe in, right? But singing it is a whole different world. Singing it is just not saying it. Singing it means that your soul is involved. Ani mamin, ani mamin, ani mamin, be'emunah shlema b'bias HaMashiach, b'bias HaMashiach, ani mamin. Then that's what they sang. So it's a whole different thing. If I can say those same words, ani mamin be'emunah shlema, but it doesn't come across with the same, how do you say, the same completeness. Pirish, what does it mean? That's a song. And that's what is the Jewish people saying when they got over the sea. They said, I'm singing to God because he is elevated. What does it mean? Shebechinas Ashira, this level of song is because that God is elevated above being elevated. In other words, that God is above the world and that God is above the angels. That's relevant. That's a level of God that's sort of relevant to the world. But that God is above, even being above spiritual, this is a level which is called Soviv Ka'omim, that it surrounds all the worlds, that everything is like nothing. That's what the Levites are singing to. And that's the Song of Songs, so to speak, that King Solomon sang to. So God is above everything, but on the other hand, God creates everything. Everything is being created by God. The Goya al Go, that means being elevated on being elevated. This is talking about God in his very essence. Ein Sof Baruch Hu. This is the essence of God. Mamish, the late Machshava, there's no thought that can grasp him at all. And that is the result of the splitting of the sea. Lo Nerach, you cannot compare God. Even say to God is holy. This is laced machshav. There's no thought. Like it says, Ato Hashem lavadecha. All there is you alone. Even nothing can be compared to God's holiness, so to speak. Ki afilu kedushato. Even God's holiness, it is holy and separated. Lo nerach alav. But that's only levels of God. It's not compared to God, the essence of God Himself. She'enu begeter almin kol, because God is not above the worlds and is not in the worlds. That's the essence of God, which is incomprehensible. And that is what was given to the Jews when the sea was split. And that's the song. That's the essence of the soul, the heart of the Jews. And I told the story yesterday, and I'll tell it again very shortly. And I think this really, really demonstrates this. There was a rabbi, I think this is California. So let's say it's California. And he wanted to get into the jails, to go to the Jewish prisoners in the jails. And in order to do this, he had to speak to a big general. Maybe it was army jails. I don't know. Anyway, he had to speak to a general. And the general was black. He was a Negro, a black. And so he spoke to this general, and they were getting along very well. General's a very intelligent person, and very this. And the general asks him, tell me, I want to understand something. You want to go and see the Jews. How do you know who a Jew is? How do you know who's a Jew? If you want to go and see the blacks, no, you can see who a black is. You want to go see the Orientals, you can see who's an Oriental. The Mexicans, you can see who's a Mexican. You're gonna, right? But you want to go see, what is the Jews? Even if you want to go and see the Catholics, right? So the Catholics, these are people, they believe in Catholic, but these Jews, they don't believe in anything. You want to go and see these Jews. They're not religious. They don't come from Jew land. They don't look different from anybody else. What is a Jew? What is a Jew? So the rabbi says, well, a Jew is someone whose mother is Jewish. So he said, well, what does that answer? I mean, how does his mother know she's Jewish? He said, well, this is passed down from the time of the Jews got out of Egypt. Is it passed down? And usually non-Jews do not want to say they're Jews. There's no real benefit to being a Jew. Everybody hates you and you're suffering, etc. So usually that's the way it is. So says, what if your mother is Jewish, then you're Jew, or if you converted. Say, one second, if your mother is Jewish, you're Jewish, yes. And what if a person's mother is Jewish? So, well, my mother told me, this black general, that her mother was Jewish. Says, your mother's mother was Jewish? Yes. If so, the rabbi said, you're Jewish. What? He said, what? I'm Jewish. So I didn't even, 3 minutes ago, I didn't even know what a Jew is. And now you're telling me that I'm Jewish. What does it mean? He says, well, what it means is that you should put on tefillin. Put on, what do you mean put on? What is tefillin? What are you talking about? So he shows them tefillin, 2 boxes. So what is that? So that Jewish people have been doing this for 3,000 years, and it's a thing that Jews do. So here, come on, put them on. Come, I'll put on again. So the general looks at his, I guess this was in the general's house. He looks at his wife. His wife says, yeah, why not? And so he rolls up his sleeves, puts on tefillin, says, say these words, Shema Yisrael, says Shema Yisrael, and the general starts to cry. He starts to cry. So the general is crying. He says, what's going on? What am I crying for? What's going on? What's happening? He doesn't know about the Jewish people. He doesn't know the history of the Jewish people. He's not crying because the Jewish people suffered so much or because this is a spiritual experience or something like that. It's 2 boxes. Put on 2 boxes. What type of, what's going on? So the rabbi said, listen, the Jewish soul is connected to the essence of God. The commandments are connected to the essence of God. And God wants all the Jews should do the commandments because they're Jewish. It's an essential part of the Jewish soul, essential part of Jewish reality. And that you put them on, you don't even know what's going on. The rabbi said, the fact is, when I put on tefillin, I also don't know what's going on. I don't know what God really gave me these things, but the fact is he did. And that woke the essence of your soul up. So that's the point that happened. That's what happened when the Jewish people went over the sea. They sang, the weeping came from joy, from happiness. From happiness. All of a sudden, something in the essence of his soul was awakened for the first time. Okay, now we're going to learn the Davar Malchut. Oh, good morning. There we go. We started the class a little bit early today. One second. 1 minute.